What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to Collectors Gone Digital. My name is Josh, and on today's episode, we're going to be covering an updated list of the top 10 collectibles on VeVe. Now, the reason I wanted to put this video out now is because in our last episode, we did recap an appearance that David made on an X Space a couple weeks back. There was a point he talked about where, in his opinion, a Grail is a major first appearance. Now, all collectibles on today's list are going to have that FA tag. They are not in any particular order. And as we always do for these types of videos, I do want to put a disclaimer out there. This is all going to be based on my opinion. So your list may be different from mine. If it is, I highly encourage you to drop it down below. Grab your drink, grab a snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So today's episode is going to be an update from our first one, because we have done this list before. We had Peter Parker, we had the partner statue. Well, this was during a time where collectibles like Miles Morales were not on the platform. So I have grouped the two together here just to avoid being repetitive with the slides. But we'll start on the left-hand side with Peter. So Peter's humanity is what makes him stand out as the most popular superhero in the world. Unlike the invincible Superman or the billionaire Batman, Peter Parker is a regular teenager grappling with everyday problems. So homework, bullies, and of course the awkwardness with girls. Now, I did already say the most important part here, that being he is the most popular hero, which is why it's a no-brainer that he should be on this list. So moving over to Miles, we have a newer iteration of Spider-Man. Now, this iteration is a fresh and dynamic take on the classic hero, but what sets him apart is his unique background mixed with his different abilities. So he's of African-American and Puerto Rican descent, and then he has abilities that Peter Parker does not have. So Venom Blast, Camouflage, which we see on the app. He's often associated with having an enhanced spider sense, as well as organic webbing, whereas Peter used the mechanical web shooters that he designed himself. Now, Miles is going to have an even lower edition size than Peter Parker. Again, Peter has 1,000, whereas Miles only has 250. If you guys are looking to grab either one, on the left-hand side, Peter Parker is going to be going for 2,700 gems right now, whereas the floor for Miles is sitting at 8,000. So moving on, and I promise guys, we are going to have new collectibles on today's list. I have also tried to include different points from our previous episodes, but we're going to have the one and only partner statue. So the physical statue was unveiled in 1993 in Anaheim, California, and the statue encapsulates Walt Disney's vision and the extraordinary partnership he had with Mickey that transformed the entertainment world. Now, it's clear that Walt had a tremendous influence on animation, film, as well as theme parks, and so the statue is meant to immortalize his role as a pioneer and innovator. It represents a legacy. Now, holding his hand, you have Mickey Mouse, and Mickey's supposed to represent the creativity and joy that Disney brought to countless lives, of course, also marking the character that started it all for him. This is another no-brainer for today's list, in my opinion. Right now, if you guys are interested in grabbing it, it has dropped significantly. It's currently sitting at a floor price of 1,200 gems. Next up, we're heading back to Season 2 with Superman. Like many know, he is one of the most iconic and influential superheroes in the history of pop culture. He made his debut in 1938, which was a time when the world was on the brink of World War II. So his creation actually provided a sense of escapism and inspiration during turbulent times. He's often credited with establishing the superhero genre, and everything that makes up Superman makes up the quintessential hero. He represents hope, justice, and the triumph of good over evil. He's a one pose, one set. Again, everything on today's list has that FA tag, and if you guys are interested in grabbing him, he's currently sitting at a floor price of 167 gems. Moving on, we're getting the obvious ones out of the way here. We have the first ever collectible to drop on VeVe, the one, the only Todd Batman number 100. So this particular iteration of Batman actually holds a special place in comic history. It's meant to showcase the significant impact that McFarlane has had on the industry, but also it marked a milestone in the Batman series. Todd's involvement in this iteration is notable because it brought his unique artistic vision to one of the most iconic characters in comics. And anyone interested in picking him up should know that he's currently sitting at 395 gems. Moving on, we got a newer collectible on the platform, and a scarce one at that. The Canadian superhero Wolverine. So unlike many traditional heroes, he's an anti-hero with a dark and troubled past. He often operates in the shades of gray, making difficult choices that challenge conventional notions of heroism. His willingness to do what other heroes might shy away from adds a gritty realism to his stories. And as I mentioned before, because he did drop recently, edition sizes have been reduced, and so this collectible for a major first appearance has a very limited supply, in my opinion. He is the only collectible in his set. He's animated, and he's limited to 3,181. Anyone looking to grab him in the market can grab him for 70 gems. So next up, we're gonna have another duo here, and this time, Luke and Vader. And if I'm honest, I have a hard time choosing one or the other here. So Luke Skywalker is what Mickey is to Disney, but for Star Wars. His journey from a humble farm boy to a legendary Jedi Knight is also one of the most iconic and inspirational stories in cinema. When it comes to Vader, Vader is one of the most iconic villains ever. Aside from his popularity, he also represents a technological and artistic milestone in cinema. So there were three main components that were combined to make the character. You had David Prowse's physical performance, you had James Earl Jones' voice acting, and then you had the innovative costume design. I think it's clear that both characters have inspired and influenced many generations. And if you guys are interested in grabbing them, Luke is sitting at a floor price of 650 gems, whereas Vader has dropped all the way down to 195. Okay, so next up, this one might be a bit of a controversial one, but let me explain. You can't really argue with the numbers, and even when I tried doing that, I just came across more stats that backed up why she should be on this list. So Wonder Woman is currently the second most popular hero in the world. Some people might hear that and go, what? If you live in the West, Canada, the US, I can understand that reaction. She is more popular in the East. But even then I was like, okay, she can be very popular, but the prices of her collectibles or something like that might not always reflect that popularity. So I looked up what some of her collectibles have sold for. A 9.4 graded copy of her first appearance comic sold for $1.62 million at a Heritage Auctions, June 16th of 2022. That was only a couple years ago. That's not a small number. So she was conceived as a feminist icon to represent female empowerment and to break the mold of male-dominated narratives. Now, she's primarily motivated by a desire to bring peace, but she often seeks to resolve conflicts without violence. She is going to be an older piece on the app as well. I feel like she's kind of gotten forgotten about, but for anyone interested in grabbing her, she is currently listed at 19 gems in the market. Next up, the one, the only, Steamboat Willie. I'm going to brush past this character because we have talked about him multiple times before, but I could not keep him off the list. He's one of the most iconic and enduring characters in animation history. He's also the mascot for the Walt Disney Company, and they still use the Steamboat Willie animation as their intro to this day. Now, when his short film came out, it encouraged other studios to adopt sound in their animations, leading to further advancements in filmmaking technology. For those that don't know, his short film is one of the first to have synchronized audio. He's charming, he's humorous, and he's historically important, and he remains a timeless classic for those around the world. For this fully animated collectible that comes with its own audio track, you guys can currently grab it for 125 gems in the secondary market. Next up, I had to put him on the list. We got Boba Fett from Star Wars, and this character has been in the news lately. So purchased in Dallas by an anonymous buyer for $525,000 US. Another one of his physical collectibles sold and was announced by Heritage Auctions last Monday. Boba is consistently ranked among the most popular characters in the Star Wars universe, despite his limited dialogue, and he is without a doubt, as evident by that sale, one of the most popular collectible characters. He's influenced the lore and backstory of the Mandalorian warriors, but his legacy also continues. It's not done, as it's currently being explored in the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, as well as others, like his own series, Boba Fett. Now, this piece is very disrespected on the app, in my opinion. It is fully animated, it's got sound, and right now, if you guys want to grab it, It's currently sitting at 41 gems in the market for the ultra rare. Next up, we're gonna have Ultraman 7, and perhaps another controversial one here, but let me explain. Ultraman is certainly a hero that is way more popular in the East, places like Japan, than over here in the West. In fact, this specific iteration of Ultraman has actually been popular for decades since his debut. He remains a beloved character among older fans who grew up watching the original series, but he also continues to attract new generations through subsequent releases, reboots, and merchandise. Now, there are no official leaderboards, but based on forums, he is the second most popular version of Ultraman. His edition size is limited to just 2,450, and although this description isn't available on this collectible, the first Ultraman series did read that they're not available in Japan and China. So I don't know if they settled something with the license, but I would assume the same thing for the second series. If that is the case, and the main audience who would be attracted to these collectibles is currently being excluded at the moment, I see this as an opportunity for people in the West. Now, it is going to be the only collectible in today's episode that is not sold out. And if you guys are interested in grabbing them, his floor price is at 25 gems. Now, last but not least, I do want to include some honorable mentions here because it's really hard to not leave out some really good pieces here. So first up, we got Elsa, one of Disney's most successful characters ever, but then also the first Walt Disney branded collectible on the platform as well. We also have C-3PO and R2-D2, part of that same Golden Moment series. I have the secret rare Lamborghini 350 GT, and that's because of its scarcity mixed with its significance, being the first Lambo ever made. I also have the 007 Aston Martin, only 7 on the platform, an iconic car, also belonging to a beloved movie franchise. Meant to take Wonder Woman off, we already talked about her, but Gwen Stacy, I just think with where the world's going, let me put it that way, and the significance of Spider-Man, with her limited supply, I do think she could be a fairly big collectible in the future. And then last but not least, I should have actually included these two on today's list. I just forgot to make a slide and didn't have time, but we have the gold and silver and the red and silver VeVe and 𝗘𝗏𝗏 logos, and that's because of their utility. I'm sure I'm missing many here. There are so many collectibles to keep track of now, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you guys do have a different list, feel free to drop it down below, and then you guys can also help remind me of what collectibles I forgot. Ladies and gents, that is going to conclude today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. According to David Yu, a Grail is a major first appearance, and we covered several today, on top of some honorable mentions. We do also have a little Marvel Snap game party happening in the Discord tomorrow, 3 p.m. EST. Discord is open to everybody, so if you guys are interested in joining, link is in the description. But if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And as for our next, I will catch you then.